She's a Brooklyn native.
I am.
She reps for her city. She's got on the Brooklyn chain. So Kimberly,
She talking about the
obviously
Nets.
the New York Football Giants are a destination franchise. Like if you are an Aaron Rodgers, you're a Russell Wilson, you should want to come to the Mecca where you grew up,
my
concrete
God.
jungle where dreams are made of. Look at you. You're the American dream.
I am the American dream. But I would not want to come to the Giants. I mean, like if I'm Aaron Rodgers, like I would want to come to Brooklyn to visit, like and sightsee. But no, not the way that. But that speaks to how badly they have regressed. I mean, New York all the way. However, I mean,
can I leave?
Yes, you can.
And
actually.
we love
You
Molly.
can.
We love us some Molly. But we have to be honest about the state of the Giants. We really do, because I'm a former Jets beat writer. The Jets take so much heat, but really,
Yeah, we're not the Jets. Don't put us in the same sentence as the Jets.
Yes,
Heritage franchise.
Over the last decade, what's the difference?
So here's the thing, Molly. The last time I was there. The last time the Giants won a Super Bowl, I was a general assignment reporter. Since then, I've been a columnist. I found my way on TV, and they can't find some wins. Like that's the reality.
Everybody has progressed and moved forward with the Giants.
That was actually fun. I didn't mean to laugh. Marcus, get in here. Come on, control them, please.
And by the way, when Marcus is the producers, when Marcus is laughing that loud, put him on camera. Well, go ahead.
Marcus, I love that shirt, by the way, and I'm not trying to butter you up. I meant to say that earlier.
Oh, she's buttering. She's slathering you up like a turkey.
I thought this was a good touch for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a good holiday shirt.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It is a destination place to go play. If it was going like S.A. and Kim talking about, no franchise would ever recover. Nobody would ever come from bad to good if they didn't think that. I'm talking about New York Giant football. I'm talking about the history of this franchise. And you are a few players away. Kimberly knows this. You're a few players away from changing the entire perception of your football team. We just watched Cleveland last year win 11 games. You think that was a destination place? They were able to go out and get free agents. They got guys to come from other places because they were able to build in what they were doing. I think the process has started in order to change the franchise, the front office, in order to get people in there that can do a job at a high level. And let's say you said one thing when we were talking about this earlier that I absolutely agree with you on. Louis Riddick would go to New York and change everything about their franchise. If they just decided that they wanted somebody to come in there and really put that thing together, he would absolutely do it. But the bottom line is, when I look at the New York Giants, and I think about when I played pro football from 2005 to 2013, the New York Giants were a destination place before they got good. They drafted Eli Manning, they went out and acquired free agents, and they became a really good football team, and that was the place a lot of guys looked at and wanted to emulate how they were doing things. They still that place. A lot of franchises fall into I played in Dallas. A lot of places have a bad run, but it's still a destination place.
Historically, the Giants do have that mystique. It's like the Giants, the Steelers, like those
Packers, Cowboys.
The issue is for the Giants is the fact that they are still living off of the Super Bowls from the Super Bowl from a decade ago.
Yes. Well,
a decade.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Can I take it a step further?
You may.
Is George Young there?
No.
Nah. Ernie Accorsi there? No. Jerry Reese there?
No.
No.
Tom Coughlin is not there either.
Between them, 4 Super Bowls, 5 NFC championships. They brought in Gettleman. It's not that they hired Gettleman. You know what the problem is? The Giants would have never tolerated this level of ineptitude from anybody before Gettleman. But Gettleman, year after year after year after year, comes up short, and he gets to keep his job and be an integral part of the decision-making. You cannot be a destination franchise when your organization takes an Odell Beckham Jr., who at the time was a star. Let's dissect and analyze for a second here. Prima donnish, okay. A little bit temperamental, fine. Was he ever accused of not showing up to work? No. Was he ever accused of not working hard? No. Was he ever accused of not being a talent? No. Was he ever arrested or in trouble with the law? No. And they still said, not our kind of guy. Well, what is your kind of guy? They're football players. Who the hell told you they had to be your kind of guy? Lawrence Taylor, not that I'm comparing OBJ to Lawrence Taylor. No. Please don't get me wrong. But Lawrence Taylor wasn't their kind of guy. I'm saying once upon a time, the Giants had their priorities in order. They knew what it took to win. They were willing to modify their thinking to some degree. They trusted the leadership, the Bill Parcells of the world and others, okay, the Phil Simms, the Jeff Hostettlers of the world. Players, police yourself along with the coaching staff and the general manager. We're the owners, we're good. They didn't concern themselves about PR and back pages and headlines. They sat up there and said, we're trying to win. Mm-hmm. We're trying to win. They don't do that anymore, and they haven't been doing that. And part of the reason...
They just got rid of Garrett. They're going to get rid of Garrett.
Well, the problem is they've had the coaches since Tomlin. They brought in Ben McAdoo.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Pat Shermer. Now Joe Judge. They are moving backwards.
Let's also remember this. I'm tired of Molly saying, well, they just did it. Listen, they've been to the playoffs one time. They've been to the playoffs. I know they won a Super Bowl in 2011. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, they were in the playoffs like 2008.
Yeah, they won.
Ladies and gentlemen, the year they won the Super Bowl is the only time they've been in the playoffs since 2008. Okay. And these people are talking about, well, it's our way of doing things. What are you talking about? That's why I'm saying you have to change that.
They already fired their OC. They're going to get rid of Gettleman. They're going to bring in a new quarterback.
All right, and I'm saying call us when they do.
Don't get mad about OBJ. The real issue is we keep talking about this O-line for 20. When are we going to fix the O-line? It's not even fair to Jerry Jones.
Fix it. That's the problem. They keep trying to fix the O-line, and that's the one thing that we still don't see fixed.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.